Just had a little hiccup there at the beginning. Okay, beautiful. So it is a full moon in Cancer, I believe, and the first full moon of 2022. And so I thought it was a perfect opportunity to do a tarot reading for y'all. So this is once again my favorite full moon spread. This is the Deviant Moon Tarot deck, and they have the Deviant Moon spread. So let me just get my notes here. Okay, so some of you may remember this spread in the beginning is just the thing that represents us, and I'm doing this collectively for anyone who's tuning in, anyone who's watching on the replay, just to kind of get us a first full moon full of gratitude, celebrating whatever's coming your way. That's a good day to do that. So, and let's go ahead and also intend that the work that was begun by Martin Luther King, whose day is being celebrated today, can be embraced and continued and deepened, and that we all focus on justice, racial justice, because we know we will not have true lasting peace until we have a more just society. So let's go ahead and intend for that. So in the first position is the Queen of Pentacles, and that is what represents just our current day reality. So the Pentacles are typically the suit that deals with wealth and abundance. And I believe the Queen is someone who is considered to be, a material provider. She's responsible. She looks after the well-being of others, especially in regard to material needs. She's consistent, devoted, and faithful in her affections and in her actions. She's also practical-minded, serious, and cautious, but she's also sensual and loves to surround herself with things of quality and beauty. So if you're listening and that describes you, this is for you. I resonate with that quite a bit. Shelter, food, security, care. She's a caretaker. She is oriented towards service, community leadership, and service, which is really interesting for me right now, especially because we are planning this move. It's a pretty massive move. I know that some of you have been following the journey on social media, but to go from a one household house to a two household, two continent household, or two continent household. That's what we're aiming for. And it's all happening, and it's beautiful, and it's wonderful. It's also a little scary, but we're just taking things one step at a time. So I'm really glad to see that that my Queen of Pentacles is keeping things solid as we move forward with these plans, and I hope that that is also the case in your position. So in the second position is past influences, and I believe that is oh no, it's not the Lovers, it's the Two of Cups, which is a curious card. I don't know if you can see these very well. Let's show you the Queen of Cups here very quickly. That's in our position 1. I'm sorry, that's the Queen of Pentacles. And now we have the Two of Cups, which is representing past influences. There we go. And and I just love what this artist does with these cards. This particular card, the reason it reminds me of the Lovers is I think there's a lot of parallel, because the cups are sort of the suit that generally represents emotional wealth and the life of the emotions. And so this one definitely deals with relationships. There's a desire for empathy, harmony, emotional bonds, friendships, meaningful partnerships, and love matches. You can see how that was, I was confused and why I thought it was the Lovers card. So, if we're looking at this in terms of past influences, so I think that that really speaks to if you're like me and you have always had this sort of desire to cultivate meaningful relationships, you know, where the friendships are the kinds of friendships that even if you don't talk to each other for a while, still, no matter how many years pass, you can still pick up right where you left off. Those are the kinds of friendships I have always tried to cultivate, and I'm super grateful for the wonderful friendships that I have in my world on many continents. And so, if you're listening, so grateful for you. So, in the position of number 3 is subconscious influences. And so, here we have the 3 of Wands. And this card, I've gotten this card quite a bit. So this is, you know, the Keeper of the Wands is planting seeds and watching things grow. And it's possible that she might even be slightly impatient with the growth process, with the waiting process. And this is the subconscious influences. So, this card talks about solving problems creatively, making things happen in your life. But in order to do that, you must take your plans, efforts, talents, and creative resources out into the world. So the best place to start is in the immediate community. And again, you know, these things about community are really curious for me, where I'm going from one physical community here in Arizona to two very different physical communities, and yet with the virtual connections we've all deepened during the course of the pandemic, the community that I have is not specifically located in one geographic location. So all of you who watch regularly, all of you who listen regularly, all of you who tune in to our music, to whatever, I'm sort of looking at you as my virtual community. So this is a card that's talking about putting your energy and your know-how to work in the community. And, you know, I want to remind you all of the things that I'm offering. So every Wednesday night from now until sometime in early March, I think is when it ends, I'm doing the lessons from the medicine wheel. You can always drop into any class because there's, even if you haven't watched from the beginning, there's always useful information for you. Those are Wednesday nights, and those are on Eventbrite. Those are $50 a class. And then I also have the new moon ceremonies. The new moon ceremonies are a healing ceremony, and they're largely designed for women. Anyone is welcome because it's, you know, we all could use some healing to our divine feminine, but it's really a ceremony specifically designed for women to heal the womb, which is really the creative source of all life. So if you haven't tuned into one of those, you know, and if you're short on cash and you want a free ticket, please just reach out to me. I can always, you know, this kind of work is not something that I want to prevent people from receiving if they don't have the money to do it. Now, keep in mind, when money exchanges hands, that is a flow of energy. So anytime you offer money or receive money, you are contributing to the flow of energy. It also means it's a really great opportunity for all of us to be really mindful about where we are putting our money, who we are investing in, because those are the kinds of conscious decisions that will help us on a subtle level really craft and create the kind of world that we really want to be living in. So, and again, this is the subconscious influences. Let me see what else we have here. You know, it does ask us to get out and around, explore the environment in our neighborhood, learn what's going on around us, get to know what community resources can help us attain our goals. I have been loving my local Buy Nothing group. If you haven't had a chance to check out the Buy Nothing group in your area, please do. For me personally, it's been a great place to relieve myself of things I no longer need and know that they are going to someone who wants them and can use them, and that way it's not going in the trash. But if you're needing something and you want to see if someone has it to offer, it's just such a great opportunity to incorporate gift economy into our daily reality already. We don't have to wait for the next iteration of the world. So this also talks about communication networks and travel, which, I'm planning my departure from Arizona and my arrival in Brazil, and I haven't quite purchased my ticket yet and arranged for my living arrangements because there's so many things up in the air. We don't know how soon we're going to sign a lease or purchase or whatnot, or if I just need to get a temporary housing while I look for something. But that's a good reminder that I need to get those tickets booked ASAP because March is right around the corner. So that's the Three of Wands in the position of subconscious influences. In the position number 4, we have the Ace of Pentacles, and from my perspective, the Ace of Pentacles is actually reversed. So I'm going to take a look at what that means in a reversed setting. It is this really gorgeous dragon and this really beautiful blue pentacle. So let's see what the reversed Ace of Pentacles has to say to us. And this is in the position of secret desires and wishes. So, this does talk about how if you want to put your wealth to work, which is exactly what we're doing right now with the sale of this house, as we are leveraging the amount of wealth that we have in this house and putting it into a different situation that we can establish for our livelihood. So in order to do that, you do have to take some risks. And we are, there are some risks, but we're in a really good position. But I guess the definition of capital is money that is put at risk in the hope of reaping future rewards. Sort of like betting, I guess, but we want to try to bet on the most sure thing. So a reversed Ace of Pentacles might suggest that you need to spend more freely, loosen your grip on your holdings with that principle in mind. Of course, we have to use common sense. We don't want to jeopardize our security. Take care to know exactly what your assets and liabilities are so you know how much you can afford to risk. And, boy, I got to tell you, this has been such an eye-opening year because I did start 2021 with a particular set of assets and wealth available to me that has since shifted dramatically in both positive and negative ways since then. But I think that what I really hope for everyone in my community is that if you haven't already done so, really take a look at all of the areas where you have value. So take a look at where you're living. Do you own it? Do you rent it? How can your living situation be leveraged to give yourself a better flow of energy for your life? What do you have in terms of investments? What do you have in terms of a retirement account? What do you have in terms of life insurance or health insurance? And how can you take any of those chunks of money and use them in a slightly different way to get you into something that really helps you fulfill your heart and life's purpose? So the other possibility with the reversed Ace of Pentacles in this position of secret desires and wishes is the reversed Ace of Pentacles might also indicate that you've been focused on holding on to what you have and you have failed to recognize the needs of those around you, especially material aid. So if that is your situation, this card is reminding you to be generous with your time, labor, and substance in order to nurture your relationships. So whether this is a question for you about needing to, take a little bit of a risk and invest some money in something that's really passionate, really important to you and that you're very passionate about, or whether it's about, just making sure that you're also investing in your family, your friends, your community, the well-being, the support that they all and we all need. So that is secret desires and wishes. And of course, for me, the secret desire and wish, well, it's not quite so secret, is that this whole move from Arizona to Brazil and Erie happens with the least amount of major disruption to our psychic energy, with the, calmest, smoothest processes of transition. And, that's going to be the big challenge. So we've been working hard, doing a lot of packing, doing a lot of planning, doing a lot of logistics work. So, number 5, hidden forces. Interesting. So we also have a reversed card. We have reversed justice. And I really wanted her to look like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but this card does appear to be some sort of figure of official justice in robes, like some sort of a judge or king figure. Reversed. So let's look at justice reversed. Justice is... Sorry, so I have my book of shadows and then I have my cards, and sometimes the numbering is slightly different. So in here, justice is 11, not 9. Okay. There we go. So when justice is reversed, and what is this position? This is hidden forces. There may be situations such as disputes between two wrong-headed or corrupted parties where the best thing to do is to take after the goddess Dike, who turned her back on the Iron Age race, disgusted with human crimes and hostilities, and fled to Olympus. There are certain cases where human crimes and hostilities, where the law refuses to intervene in disputes because both parties are involved in illegal activities. For example, you can't sue someone for burning you in a drug deal because both parties are said to have dirty hands. If two parties are trying to draw you into a dispute, listen to both sides, consider whether this is a case of dirty hands, where the victimization is mutual. If so, just get out of the area. Don't enter into those kinds of negotiations. The reversed justice can also be talking about no-win situations, and this is in the position of hidden forces. Very, very curious. So even if you know that you are right, if you're in a no-win situation, there's really no point in fighting. You're just going to cause yourself a lot of grief. Save yourself the time and energy into more productive efforts and work towards peace and harmony. Now, there is also one more. My book of shadows gives me one more hint about a reversed justice card. This is when, if you are in a position where you feel you have to lie or cheat or steal or break other ethical or legal codes in order to serve a higher cause. And again, that goes right back to what Martin Luther King Jr. was saying, is that civil disobedience and the protests that he organized are part and parcel to the work toward justice. You have to break unjust laws in order to protest them. And this means, sorry, white folks who think it's really inconvenient when there are protests blocking your traffic. The reason protests are blocking the traffic is because your comfortable life needs to be disrupted in order for the injustices to be called to your attention. And that's, again, privilege. If you're in a position where you don't have to worry about justice, or you don't have to worry about whether you are going to be shot or attacked just because of the color of your skin, or who you love, or what religion you follow, or, whether you wear something on your head indicating that religion. That's the time to just take your discomfort eat it, and accept that people are working towards justice. And in this particular position, it is asking us if you yourself are willing to do that, break the unjust laws. But again, the cards do remind us, be very, very sure that there aren't other ways to do that. And I am not in a position to say whether that's right or not. But if you've tried as many peaceful means as you can, and there are ways to break the laws peacefully. You do not have to ever be violent. In fact, I adhere to the tenet that a peaceful, luminous warrior is prepared to fight, but never chooses to fight. We always work towards peace. But that's me, and I also know that there are other people in different positions, and there are other folks who have been fighting for generations for peace and justice, and who have been turned down by the official structure time and time and time and time again. So on the day that we are celebrating Martin Luther King Jr., let's remember that there are some unjust laws that need to be broken, especially voting rights laws. Or I should say, the laws trying to repeal the voting rights laws, or the efforts to repeal voting rights laws. Okay, so the next position, number 6, is events yet to come. This is the Knight of Cups, who is looking quite beautiful, almost like a little seahorse warrior. The Knight of Cups in the events yet to come position. What does the Knight of Cups have to say to us? Okay, so again, we're talking about cups, so this is all about the emotions and feelings. This knight is motivated by Eros, who is desire, and especially desire to seek wholeness with the other. So it could be erotic love, but it could also be just feelings of unity on a broader scale, creating a sense of relationship with all of our fellow humans. Boy, that's exciting if that is what is actually to come. That would be beautiful, wouldn't it? So it's asking, how can you embody the spirit and power of love, care, and empathy as if you were a spiritual warrior? So there may be a love affair on the horizon. There may be a deepening of your love relationship on the horizon. Which is great because we had the Two of Cups as well. So it's really all about cultivating that love, that compassion, that nurturing, that support for our loved ones, for our community. And, there are a lot of us who have just been in isolation for so long, but I do think it's important to remember that if you can, find ways to connect face-to-face with your community. Do it safely, wear masks if needed, but those kinds of human connections are so important. And so I'm really pleased to see that that is in the events yet to come, because I think we probably all need that right about now. In the position of number 7 is environmental influences. So here we have the Knight of Pentacles. What a cool little guy. So I sort of love this weird kind of quasi-steampunk aesthetic of this deck. So we have this knight who appears to have created his own little warrior tricycle wheelchair type thing that he sits in and rides in. So let's look at the Knight of Pentacles and see what the Knight of Pentacles has to say for us for environmental influences. Okay, so this is talking about getting practical worldly experience, take your education skills and values out into the world, apply them to the problems of day-to-day living. Concentration, hard work, and goal-oriented behavior are appropriate. So accept the work that comes your way and the obligations that are put upon you. Deal with the situation in question by formulating long-term plans. Make provisions for your future security and condition yourself to work for delayed rewards. So the knight is a figure of service. And, this is so important for me. I've been really working towards finding out what is the way that I can best serve the people who need me. And so that's been a really interesting journey and struggle to try to figure out, how do I let people know who I am and what I do and how I can be helpful or useful? How do I reach those people? But I think in general, it's always about just making sure the offer is always there. So if any of you are needing any kind of support in any way, please reach out. I just recently changed my scheduling so that I've got a sliding scale option now, because I know there were a couple of folks who were saying, they really wanted to be able to come receive a healing session, but that the price was out of their reach. So but it does mean that I can't use PayPal on my scheduling software. So it's just my regular Stripe payment processor. If you need to use PayPal, just hit me up with a direct message and I'll just send you an invoice for whatever is an appropriate amount that you want. But with the Stripe, you can book a session with me. And I have it listed as a private link because I would really rather, if you need something and you need it to be, on a different financial structure, I just want to know who you are and I want to know that. So if you're just coming, and you can't afford the prices that are listed, I ask that you please try to do that. But if you really can't afford it, I don't want you to miss out on the healing that you need. So just reach out to me with a direct message and I'll send you the private link, which is where you get to choose what amount you'll pay. And the beauty of it is I don't actually see what amount you've paid until later. So when I get my appointment with you, I'm just going to give you the full treatment that I would normally give to a full paying client. So please don't think that just because you're paying less, you're getting any kind of less of a treatment. So so environmental influence is all about being of service. So let me know how I can serve you on your healing journey. In the position of number 8 is the influence of others. And we have the Hanged Man. I love the Hanged Man because the Hanged Man really asks us and even forces us to look at things from a new perspective. And when we look at things from new perspectives, we can really, really, really shift some of the belief systems that have been keeping us held back. Sometimes that's really all it takes, is just a new look from a new perspective at whatever our life circumstances are. But let's go ahead and look at what my beautiful book has to say about the Hanged Man. And he is right side. The card is right side up, even if he is upside down. So this is, and then what is this? This is the influence of others. Okay. So the card asks us to put our normal life in a state of suspension so we can gain peace and understanding. And it is about allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Let go of control, detach from your ego needs, practice meditation. I was talking with a friend the other day about the shamanic practice of non-doing. This is something we learn in our shamanic training, that meaningful change, sometimes, not always, sometimes we have to take action, but meaningful change often comes when we stop trying so hard, when we just relax and just set our intentions, align them with our highest good, and allow Spirit to support us along the way. So I think the Hanged Man is a really good reminder that if you've done the work on your inner self, and you've done the work in expressing that to the world, and you just need a little extra support, go inward, meditate, call upon whoever your spirit guides are, your angels, your ancestors, whoever they are, and just ask for the support to guide you to your next steps and your next option, and see how that affects your inner peace. So in number 9 is spiritual forces. So here we have This appears to be the Two of Wands, and he is coming up reversed. So the Two of Wands reversed. So this is asking us to create a separation between two different factors, whether it be work life, home life, personal affairs. Give them equal consideration, but study or develop them separately from each other. If it's about two people involved, and this is in spiritual forces, interesting. So if it's about two spiritual traditions, just listen to them both and see which one resonates more deeply, more truthfully with you, with your inner spirit. It also is talking about maybe keeping different aspects of your life in separate containers, maybe even adopting dual identities. That's an interesting approach. For me personally, I'm not a big fan of that, especially because I did that for many years, working in academia and being raised Mormon, working in a Catholic institution. There are pressures to hide parts of ourselves, and for me personally, I'm done with that. I'm much more interested in being just fully open and transparent with integrity in life. So this is who I am. But I also recognize that sometimes you really do have to have kind of two, if you want to talk about W.E.B. Du Bois' double consciousness, sometimes you really have to, in order for your survival and your preservation, sometimes you really have to maintain two separate and distinct identities. And in terms of spiritual traditions, because this is in the position of spiritual forces, we can look to the ways that Afro-descendants in the Americas were able to maintain their religious and spiritual practices by cloaking them through religious syncretism, so that they on the outside might appear as if they were worshiping the Catholic saints, but underneath they were worshiping their own sacred entities, the Orishas. And that was really, it was a matter of safety, because they could be persecuted and killed for practicing their own religion. And so if we look at the way that syncretism developed over time, over generations, you might look at the way, and curiously, the Catholic Church has also done this. They took all sorts of pagan influences, pagan gods and goddesses, pagan practices, pagan holidays, and they just co-opted them to be Catholic holidays, which then became Christian holidays. And so it may be important for us to start digging into the meanings underneath all of our so-called Christian holidays to find out what were the meanings in pagan reality prior to that colonization. And for me, it all goes back to the solstices and the equinox. Those are a great place to start. There are other holidays as well. We're about to head into spring, so we're about to head into fertility rites, which got co-opted into Easter. So I would say this is a good reminder that in 2022, take a look at what are the indigenous practices underneath all those Christian holidays, and how can we celebrate those indigenous practices that we white people have been cut off from, either by the choice of our ancestors or for some other reason. Because we do have indigenous ancestors, they're just not in the place where we live right now. And it's important for us to recognize those and get back in touch with those. So that, I would say, is the message in number 9 for spiritual forces. In our final position, we have the 4 of Swords. And it's curious, she appears to be sleeping peacefully or buried underground with her sword and roses. So let's see what the 4 of Swords has to say to us. today. Okay. Okay, so the 4 is about recovering from a wounding. And if that's you, then please just reach out to me, because the work that I do is all about recovering from various woundings that we have had. So in some cases, you might feel that you can't move, that you're paralyzed, that you're being attacked, and you might even feel like it's coming from all directions. Sometimes the best course of action is just to bide your time. If you can find a place to rest and retreat. And I'm telling you, this is so beautiful that this is all happening right as I'm making these decisions, because those of you who know me well know that for many, many years I've had a dream of having an art-centered healing retreat in Brazil. And we're this close away, because the properties that we're going to either lease or acquire, our intention is to have them be specifically suitable for small group retreats or individual retreats. So when I do find whatever property I'm going to find in Brazil first, my intention is to craft it as a retreat space. Whether a person needs to come individually to just, have some slow down time and to be in beautiful natural settings, and to, dip your feet in the ocean every day if you want, and to, drink clean water and breathe fresh air. Because I also have the capacity to provide that space, but also provide practices that can help you on that healing journey. So I do appreciate this card as the final answer for rest, recuperation, retreat. Yeah, it says if there's conflict in your life, just find time and place for rest and relaxation. If there are difficult people in your life, this card is suggesting you avoid them. The 4 of Swords doesn't necessarily suggest a quick recovery, and I really, I want to reiterate that a true, deep, meaningful, transformational healing process is not going to happen overnight, and there is no magic pill. Just yesterday, I was with my family, with my parents, in a little town about 3 hours away from here. And one of my family members asked how I lost all this weight without even trying. And I jokingly say I did it without even trying, but it's because I was not focusing on losing weight. And I had to reinvent my relationship to food, which takes time, and it takes effort to be aware of how the food you're consuming affects your body. So I really had to reinvent my relationship to food. That takes time. And even any of the work we do in shamanic healing, for me, the 6-month container is a really beautiful container, because that gives you space and time to really incorporate and integrate healing epiphanies or healing realizations about your life or new perspectives. You have to have time to integrate those into your world. So the 6-month container to me is just a really beautiful container. So that is, wow, Deviant Moon, full moon in Cancer, January 2022. This is the year of healing, folks. So reach out to me if you need anything. I'm here to be of support to you. Cheers. Bye.